Now in this video or in this session, we are going to look at murder and look at manslaughter. We are going to distinguish those two offenses. We are going to find out today in this video whether these two are the same or not. Then also we are going to make sure that we know which statute that we are going to use. Then we are also going to make sure that we know what murder is, what manslaughter is. So some people think that the offense of murder and the offense of manslaughter are the same. But guess what? They are not the same. They involve some ingredients, key ingredients that both share, but these two offenses are totally different. Now, I'm going to discuss them. So, I'm going to start with the offense of murder. We first know what is murder and which statute covers all these offenses. Remember, murder, it's a criminal offense. So we are going to see which statute covers criminal offenses. Then we look at manslaughter, what is manslaughter, and we try to break them down so that we can all understand. So the Penal Code Act is the statute that we are going to use. I'm going to start with murder. Murder, it's defined under the Penal Code Act. The Penal Code Act is a statute that was established by the Parliament. It covers almost all offenses. And if an offense is not written in any written laws or any statute, that offense cannot be tried. So that is in Latin maxim, that's nulla poens sine lege. So basically, the Parliament has the mandatory power of making these legislations or making these laws. Now, for the case of murder and for the case of manslaughter, they were written in the Penal Code Act. In the Penal Code Act, that's where we find criminal offenses. And now, since our main focus is on murder and manslaughter, and yet they are criminal in nature, that's now how we result to the Penal Code Act. According to Section 171 of the Penal Code Act, Cap 128, the revised edition, provides that any person who of a malice aforethought causes the death of another person by an unlawful act or omission commits murder. So I want you to mark these things very well. I want you to mark any person, and now I want you to mark a malice aforethought. Then I want you to also mark causes death of another person, and also mark unlawful act. So those are the ingredients of murder. Now someone there is asking, what is a malice aforethought? Malice aforethought is defined under Section 174 of the Penal Code Act. Remember, the revised edition is Cap 128. So, Section 174 defines a malice aforethought as an intention to cause death of any person, whether that person is the person actually killed or not. I see, it's an intention to cause the death or knowledge that the act or omission causing death will probably cause death to another person. So basically, a malice aforethought simply means that, number one, it has to be an intention to cause death of another person. Number two, it simply means that that person must be having knowledge that the act he or she is going to do will cause death to another person. So basically, a malice aforethought, it's looking at the intention of the someone. It's looking at the knowledge. Did this person have the knowledge? Did this person intend to kill another person? Now that's a malice aforethought. That's an ingredient that is so essential to prove and determine whether there was murder or not. There are some people who accidentally kill people, and they did not intend, but they accidentally kill people. So that one won't be liable for murder. Reason being, his intent was accidental. He did not intend to kill that other person, but rather it was accidental. Are you saying? So now that's the difference. That's why a malice aforethought is so essential to prove that there was indeed murder. Not forgetting that we all have a right to life as per Article 22 of the 1995 Constitution, whereby we all have the right to life, and this right will not be deprived intentionally unless through a competent court of justice or in competent court of law, meaning that it's only the court who has the right to deprive that right to life. It can be through sentence, whereby a court can sentence someone to death. Are you seeing? And since a person has killed someone and intended to kill, and he knew that his act will lead to death of that other person, then that person will be liable for murder, because obviously there is a malice aforethought. So the ingredients of murder, we have malice aforethought, that's the first one. The second one, we have causing death of another person. The third one, we have unlawful act. So let me try to explain these three ingredients. The first one, a malice aforethought, just as we've seen, according to section 174 of the Penal Code Act, the revised edition, whereby if at all you have the intention, if at all you have the knowledge that that act you're doing, it will cause the death of another person, then there you are liable. That is a malice aforethought. Already you had the intention, you knew the consequences that will come out from your action. Then the second one, causing the death of another person, meaning that for a person to be liable for murder, there has to be a dead body. You've caused the death of another person, meaning the presence of a dead body. It's final that you've killed someone. Another one, unlawful act. It can be you've used a gun, you've used a knife to kill someone. Are you seeing? So if at all your actions, your act kills some or another person, then you are liable for murder. And the punishment for murder is prescribed in section 172 of the Penal Code Act, whereby any person who commits murder is liable to suffer death. So that's the punishment for those people who commit murder. However, there are some defenses. There are some defenses for murder, and one of them we have provocation, diminished responsibility. But all these defenses we'll look them in another video, but not today, because today this video was specifically for murder and also for manslaughter. Now let's go to attempted murder. What is attempted murder? Attempted murder is described in section 187 of the Penal Code Act, cap 128. Don't forget, that's the revised edition. Here, any person who attempts unlawfully to cause the death of another, or with intent to unlawfully cause the death of another person, commits a felony and is liable for imprisonment for life. So this basically means that if at all a person attempts or tries to cause death to another person unlawfully, or he causes unlawfully with the intent the death of another person, this person will be held liable for attempted murder, and the punishment there is imprisonment for life. Now, since we are done with attempted murder, you've known what attempted murder is, you've known the punishment for attempted murder, you've known what murder is, the ingredients for murder, the punishment for murder, you've known everything in regards to that. Now let's move to manslaughter. What is manslaughter? Is manslaughter the same as murder? Now, let's start. Let's see if they are the same or they are different. Now, manslaughter is described or illustrated in section 170 of the Penal Code Act, cap 128, which provides that any person who by an unlawful act or omission causes the death of another person commits a felony termed manslaughter. So I want you to be very keen with this description as regards to section 170. 170 is very clear that any person who by an unlawful act or omission causes the death of another person commits the felony termed manslaughter. Here there is no whether you had an intention, you had the knowledge, because as long as the person has died, as long as your unlawful act has caused the death of another person, you are held liable for manslaughter. The difference with murder is that for murder, you must have the knowledge, you must have the intent to cause death. Your intentions, your act, you know that your actions will cause the death of another person. Here in manslaughter, it's simply as long as you cause the death of another person with or by unlawful act, you are liable for manslaughter. And the punishment for manslaughter, it's described or stipulated in section 173 of the Penal Code Act, which provides that any person who commits manslaughter is liable for imprisonment for life. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, so that's basically about manslaughter. And don't forget, Section 6 of the Penal Code Act, Cap 128, that's the revised edition, provides that ignorance of the law is not a defense. That's all for murder and manslaughter. If at all you found this video interesting, please subscribe, like, and comment, and we'll stay in touch. Yes.